Hello and welcome to the Swim Brief. I am Chris DeSantis and I am joined today by Trever Gray. We got a really exciting series we're going to do for you here running on Tuesdays. But first, let me introduce Trever. Those of you who listen to the podcast for a long time know I've had some legendary podcasts that people come up to me, Trever, and go like, I listened to that one and it's like, it's the one we did on when to lift and put your dry land training in. So I get that kind of feedback, but Trever, he's a swim coach. He's a master swimmer. He's a professor. How are you, Trever?
I'm doing well. How are you, Chris?
I'm good. I'm actually looking at your bio at University Place Aquatic Club, which I know you're a little bit in transition, but it says that you are teaching physiology and nutrition. Sorry, and anatomy. Is that true?
At Tacoma Community College, yes, I teach anatomy and physiology, but mainly nutrition for the past few quarters. They've been having
Okay.
me do that, which I really enjoy.
And we're going to get into some nutritional stuff later. But first, let me introduce to people what we're doing here. Actually, we're taking something that Trever and I do off the podcast. We're putting it on the podcast. And that is, we talk a lot about training, the kind of things that we are doing that sort of go beyond training, health, life, nutrition, sleep, any kind of thing for your physical and mental health. That's the kind of stuff that we like to nerd out about. And we thought we'd make a podcast. The idea here too is, if you're out there and you're somebody that's a master swimmer, or you're just somebody that just has like goals for your body. This is one of the ways I always choose to expand this, Trever. I just say like, I don't care who you are, you've got goals for your body, right? And that's kind of what we're talking about in this sense here. And we're just going to be curious, ask each other questions, even though some of this stuff we have been over, but we're going to do it in a more formal stuff. So today, what we're going to get into is really just how we train. But I think before I even get into that, what I want to ask you is when you set up like, how you're gonna train, Trever, like right now, what are the goals that you're thinking about when you set that up?
Well, goal number one, according to Dr. Peter Attia, and he mentioned this a couple years ago, but especially in his new book, Outlive, is I want to participate in the Centenarian Olympics. Now, what is that? The Centenarian Olympics are the 10 things, 5 things, 20 things that you want to do in your 80s, 90s, and 100s and still be able to complete those. Now, that might just be pick up your grandkids or great grandkids by that point. It might be I'm 90 years old and I want to go to the airport and I'm a little late. I need to hustle a little bit. I got my roller bag at 90 years old and I want to make my flight. I don't want to be late. I want to be able to make that flight, get on board, take my 10-pound bag, lift it over my head and put it in the overhead compartment at 90 years old without any assistance. And so that is my primary goal with all this exercise that I'm doing is I want
Yeah,
to
so
live this long, healthy life.
longevity, and not just
Longevity.
longevity, but yeah, just a certain level of health with longevity, a certain robustness that goes along with it.
And to reach that, you got to exercise day in, day out, pretty much. I mean, yeah, 1 or 2 days of rest a week, but you got to exercise lifelong.
Yeah, and I can't remember where I saw this, but just in reference to what you're saying, I know that one of the things I always keep in mind, because sometimes like you feel like, oh man, I'm committing a lot of time to this stuff.
Mm.
Actually, it's a time investment. You're getting more time on the other end. You're getting more time where you're healthy and you're doing well. You're getting a longer life. So it's actually the worst time investment is not doing some of the stuff we're talking about here in terms of moving yourself and having goals for what you're doing. I think stepping into it like it's just a long-term investment in yourself. And I would say that's an overriding goal that I've had. And I've definitely been on a different path as I've sort of referenced and talked about. And I'm coming up on my 40th birthday, so I'm probably going to make a little special social media blitz around that because 2 summers ago when I was turning 38, um, I was really, really not feeling good about how I was doing. And I know you know that because we were in communication at that time. I was trying to sort a lot of stuff out. And so my overriding goal since then has been to actually look for areas where I can find improvement and get some consistency with those improvements so that I don't just feel like I'm sort of sliding into middle age and then sliding into old age. Of course, there is going to be some deterioration that is inevitable, but I also have a lot of areas that I see that I can still improve on, and that'll become evident when I get into how I'm training because, and I think it'll be evident in how you describe what you're doing as well. But yeah, that would be my big overriding goal. I would say my minor goals. I mean, swimming wise, I've discussed this in other formats. I would love to break a minute and 100 breast. That's a long, unrealized, very sort of micro goal for me. But like I went a best time in the 50 free earlier, so like finding ways to go best times here as I approach 40, like that's sort of a smaller goal of it. And I will admit that some part of my training is purely based around vanity. I want to look good. I want to look like I want to be happy with how I look in my underwear. Doesn't mean I need to be like a fitness model on Instagram, but I want to look good and I want to feel good. I want to have a good quality of life on a day-to-day basis. Anything to add on your end before we get into the actual training?
Well, all of those are excellent reasons. I mean, you nailed it. You have not one goal, but multiple facets of your fitness journey here that helps keep you motivated.
Yeah.
And those are all important. You can't just have one thing. It needs to be multiple. It needs to be multiple things to keep the motivation going.
All right. Let's hear,
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
quick, you talked about your minor goals. My minor goals would be number one is if I happen to break some, local records, great. That's kind of a goal in there. It's not definitely not number one, but the social aspect is also a strong goal because the research is now pretty clear that loneliness is just as bad for you as smoking is. And I'm currently training with a group of three other guys who keep me motivated, and we constantly laugh at practice. And that to me is probably the most benefit I'm experiencing with these guys is that camaraderie, that social aspect. So I feel super lucky because you and I have talked about this. You don't quite have that yet, and so I
Right.
do feel lucky that I have four guys that are all of similar speed. We all swam in college. Just a fantastic group of people that I can train with.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I communicate with you quite a bit because it's just so helpful to have somebody that is like aware of what's going on, training wise, and just have like I will give a plug to Trevor here that I just think you're a real positive person on the other end. Like I love to share when I make progress on stuff to you because, like I, just the way that you respond like makes me want to get that next rung and share it with you. All right, so let's get into it. I want to start hearing about your training. How do you set up a week of training? Let's say both in the pool and then what kind of stuff are you doing out of the pool?
So luckily, these three other guys that I train with, uh, we all can swim at lunchtime mainly. So, and not
Okay.
all of us, all four of us, but on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's usually all four of us.
Yep.
And so Monday, the King County Aquatic Center has lap swim starting at 11:30, and this is the summer, so we're at long course right now. And so three of us will swim Monday at lunch hour, and then all four of us on Tuesday. We all take Wednesday off from swimming because we go pretty hard when we swim. And then Thursday
Yep.
we're back at it at 11:30, either short course or right now long course. Friday I usually take off, and I need to swim more than 3 days a week. 3 days is definitely the minimum dose you need to improve in your swimming, but four is much better. That extra day is so much better, I have found. But then we have another outdoor long course pool opening up this Saturday, and so we are going to go swim there. So I will get my fourth day in this week. So that's how the swim
It,
schedule goes.
okay. And I'm going to make one comment on that. And this is something I say to people all the time because I can hear it. And people who've been coached by me know exactly what's about to happen, which is you said, you set up the 3 days of swimming and then you said, I need to swim a fourth day a week. And I
Yeah.
would just say, you want to swim a fourth day a week. Because like I want to echo back to you what you said, which was what's really important is having some goals and having like a direction that you want to go in. And I think it's great that you have so much motivation that you go, I want to swim even more than I'm swimming right now, but you don't have to. Like, you don't
No.
need to, right? You're achieving a lot of the stuff that you want to achieve, a lot of the goals that you have already. Okay, so that's a swimming piece of it.
What's
What
your
about
swim
out of the
schedule?
pool? Oh
What's
yeah, sure. I'll do
your
mine.
swim
Yeah,
schedule? Yeah.
I'll do mine because I'm already feeling insecure because I've just pared back from 3 days of swimming a week, and I just heard from you that swimming is the 3 days a week is the minimum. So I started swimming again. I talked about this on the podcast. I started swimming again in January, and the idea was to do 3 days a week with a buddy of mine. That buddy's dropped off. So
Oh,
that has given me a little bit more flexibility, but not a training partner, which is, as you mentioned, something I'm really searching for. But I go in the mornings, typically on Monday, Thursday,
mm.
and Friday. And we'll get into why it's Thursday and Friday, just because of some of the other moving pieces that I have in training. Obviously, I would love to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but there's two other main factors that decide really where my training is, and because of those, Monday, Thursday, and Friday, and actually prior to swimming, all of my cardio workouts. And this is something the only thing Trever ever makes fun of me for, were done at a cardio kickboxing gym. He calls it jazzercising. Um, but it was really nice cardio workout. And for the last couple of weeks, I have made Friday back into a cardio kickboxing session just because I was getting a little bit, I don't know, it was getting a little bit stale for me swimming Thursday, Friday, 2 days in a row. So just shaking it up and doing something different. Um, but I have in the back of my mind actually exactly what you said, which is, I don't know, really is 2 times a week enough swimming for what I want to accomplish swimming wise. So I'm definitely thinking about that as I go through it.
I just don't think it is. And I also think it's important to do 1 day a week of back-to-back workouts. That 2 days in a row of swimming, I think, is really important. At our
Yeah,
age, obviously, when we train kids, they got to go every day because the recovery ability is just amazing. But ours is
right.
diminished, and so we can go. We can go. I mean, there's lots of people who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s that go 5 days a week. I mean, look at Rick Colella; he's doing that. But yes, I think you need to go back-to-back days.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we
I'll
got to figure that
probably
out. So that's our next goal is to figure that out. How do we do that for you?
well, I could just switch back. But I do have like a little bit of a log jam with some of the stuff I want to do workout wise, and maybe we'll be able to work that out um,
But
on
but
here.
you also value this kickboxing, and therefore you should keep doing it.
Right. It's great. Like I would say the thing that's great about it is, it's some cardio that I do on my feet. It actually keeps me in pretty good running shape. It keeps me in good shape, like on land. It keeps me mobile. Like throwing a roundhouse kick, it helps with flexibility. So there's a lot of stuff. And then the mental health benefit of, I would say, like as a guy, just going into a place where there's a 120-pound bag and you just can wail on it as hard as you possibly can and just let out some aggression. Like I haven't found a way to replace that, if I take it away. So, I don't know exactly.
You got
That's
to
why
keep
it's
that.
such a hard decision for me. Yeah.
You got to keep that.
So, so what do you got then outside of the pool? So you have those
All
three
right.
swimming sessions. You want to add a fourth. What else do you do?
I lift at least 3 days a week, sometimes four. I am
Oh
kind
my
of in
God.
love with the gym right now. I'm loving it. I'm mixing it up. I've been lifting for 15 years now, and I thought, hey, let's just see if I could put on some muscle mass at my age. Let's take all
Right.
this nutrition information I have. Let's hit the gym a little more. Let's increase the sets, and let's see if I can put on some muscle. And I have, and I'm really loving this. I mean, we're kind of both on a body transformation journey a little bit here,
Yeah.
and so I will lift as much as I can, and I'm really enjoying it. And I'm looking forward to talking about the nutrition aspect. Excuse me, when we talk about protein, because yeah, it's a little annoying how much protein you gotta ingest when you do something like this. But so I'm doing that, and then on the weekends I will either I love during the winter I ski, and then I love mountain biking, and so to try fit it all in with two jobs is challenging, but I find a way to do that, and then I have a good mountain biking and skiing buddy that I also go off and do these things with.
Yeah. So I entered into this knowing full well I would come away jealous and envious of the amount of time that you're putting into this because again, as I look so outside of swimming, I do strength train as well. It's something that you and I have discussed off here, and you say like body composition and stuff. I that was something that I for sure was really unhappy with. And I mentioned on earlier, like one of my goals is to look good. It was something I was for sure unhappy with 2 years ago. And the light bulb moment that I had was that I think like at every moment before that, when I tried to change my body composition, my goal had been where like I think a lot of people end up where you go like, I got to lose some weight. Like, let me make the scale go down. And I can say honestly, um, I've achieved my goal in terms of what I want to look like from 2 years ago. I have the same body weight as I did
Yeah,
2 years ago. Like
right,
so
right,
if I was measuring by my scale, I'd be a complete failure. But the goal changed and the process changed to like I'm gonna get in the weight room. I'm consistently 2 times a week. I'm gonna get in the weight room. I'm gonna try to build some muscle. One of the things you and I discussed is you have a window in your life where it's really possible to do this. Putting on muscle is extremely hard to
hard,
do. Um, I think I probably had experienced like, a number of years where I was just like slowly sort of regressing. And then so I started to build again. And with the idea of longevity, that there's going to be a moment where I just cannot get stronger anymore. And then it's
right.
like, at what peak do I start declining from? And so I've been very purposeful with that piece of it, and consistently. And I do that. I do one on a Wednesday, so that's one of the reasons I don't swim on Wednesday, because that is a day I can actually go into the kickboxing gym and I lift. I'm such a I'm such a I'm such a prima donna. I get to lift in there all by myself, right? So it's literally probably for me been over a decade since I've lifted in a gym and at any consistent basis with other people. Like, so when I like see all the gym memes online of like, oh, these annoying people at my gym, I go, I don't know,
Yeah.
because I'm just in there by myself doing my thing. And it's like, I tell people, sometimes I call it bodybuilding practice. Sometimes I just call it um, barbell meditation. Man,
Yeah,
does it feel
meditation.
good to just be in there, picking up heavy stuff, putting it down, moving stuff around. So I think it definitely has a dual, again, you'll notice with a lot of the stuff I'm doing, like there's a mental health benefit to it, very direct mental health
Absolutely.
benefit to doing some of it. But when I hear you say 3 days a week, I'm like I want to find a third day a week, but I just can't seem to find it. Like I feel like I'm redlining at the three swims and the two lifting
Lifting.
sessions. There's no room for anything else. So um,
Okay, I got a solution for you. I have also this thing called the minimum daily workout. And my
okay.
current minimum daily workout is 10 minutes. And your minimum daily workout can be anything, any time stamp, any exercise that you want that you can get in. And that adds up over the weeks and months. In
Hmm.
addition, I saw a recent study that said for New Zealand rugby players. I almost said rugby football players, but rugby players, they can increase muscle mass with a 10-minute weight workout at night right before they go to bed. So it seems to increase hypertrophy over the ensuing weeks when they do this 10-minute workout at night. So I'm going to quickly describe what I do.
Okay.
I do 5 rounds. This takes me 10 minutes. I do 5 rounds of 10 push-ups, and then I do a sumo squat where I tap my knees on the ground just once, and then get back up, and then I do these things called club swings, and I do 10 each arm. And in fact, just hold on real quick. And
Trevor's going to actually go find his club and swing it for us live on video.
I'm not going to swing it, but you can see here that, yeah, you take these club swings and just search for it online. It's a lot of core stability, and I'll just, knock this out in 10 minutes right before I go to bed. And I keep my heart rate low. And I have found some value in this minimum daily workout. And then now that I see the research on it, that it is good for you right before bed, I recommend you develop your own, and everyone develop their own minimum daily workout.
Yeah, I would say right now my minimum daily workout is I do quite a bit of walking. I guess I didn't include that in this, but I work from home. I work for myself. And so one of the things I will do is that every 90 minutes to 2 hours, over the course of the day, like I just get up and walk for 15 or 20 minutes. Also because like just lying there, staring at a screen doesn't make me the most productive version of myself. So I actually find I get a great return on investment time-wise by stopping whatever I'm doing for 20 minutes and moving my body. I would say, and we can probably get into this because I know down the line we're going to talk about sleep, which will be a big topic for me. I do think that is probably the variable that is holding me back from doing anymore. Because, could say like, my schedule, like I got 2 young kids. So that limits some of the time that I can, the logistics of getting out. My wife, actually, she's also active athlete. She does yoga. She runs 3 or 4 times a week. So she's got a similar training schedule to me. And we can't really, if kids are at home, we can't both be working out at the same time. So it's one of the reasons, like, for instance, on the weekend, I only take one of the days because she always takes the other day. And then, we're out, whatever, doing something as a family. But I would say that is not as much of a limiting factor as pure recovery. And we're going to get into nutrition later as well. These are all teasers for later podcasts. But I have noticed you talked about protein. And one of the things I communicated to you in the last week was, I started actually looking at macros and realizing I thought I was pretty close to 200 grams of protein per day, which was something I was aiming for. I was nowhere near it.
Right.
And once I started doing that, I noticed that the level of recovery I was getting in my muscles, immediate change in that stuff. And I was like, oh, you ding dong. Like you weren't even giving your body, the tools for repair on some of the training you were doing. So I think that's definitely a factor. But yeah, I think we'll discuss this down the line. The sleep is also really limiting me because I don't know that even if I could find time for more, whether it would even be productive to do it. Because as it is, I'm like, I feel like I'm redlining almost on that
in
workout
daily
schedule.
Life. Yeah. Right. So we will go over in future podcasts how much protein any athlete needs. So we're gonna do the math on that and how to divide that protein up during the day. And then for sleep, I think let's talk about some recommendations for sleep supplements. And then thirdly, I want to go back to your kids real quick. How old are your kids? 8 and 4?
I have a 5-year-old son and a 9-year-old daughter.
9, yeah. Can you incorporate them into your workout at all? Can you like lift them up and do 10 like shoulder presses with the 5-year-old?
Well, like I said, I do quite a bit of physical stuff In fact, I when I did my meat that I shaved for last month, one of the things I realized was kind of like a oopsie. Like we had guests over the previous day, so there was a whole nother set of kids there, and I was doing, feats of dad strength. So I was
Yep.
taking the 5 and 6 year olds and just like picking them up off the ground and quickly
Yeah.
like just like I was literally doing your
Club swings.
your club swing but with a human being.
Yeah.
And I was doing that for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. And I realized like, I'm getting really sore and tired.
Yeah.
Like, this is
Yeah.
not a good idea to do the night before the meet. So yeah, I mean, I think probably already, they incorporated, and I will say like, if I'm in a jam, childcare wise, I bring my kids to where I'm working out. They don't necessarily do anything while I'm working out, but I do think it's important, for your kids to see you doing stuff,
Yep.
for yourself, right? And prioritizing that part. So I don't feel guilty about having my kid, sitting by, while daddy lifts weights for an hour.
No, you shouldn't.
I don't feel any real obligation to like entertain them. I think, it's good for them. Whenever my wife competes in something or I compete in something, the whole family comes out and cheers everybody on. So, to that end, yeah, I think, probably, and like even this weekend, I was thinking, I backed off on my weight workout because I'm a homeowner, right? I've got a
Mhm.
house here in South Jersey. I spent, an hour on Saturday and 45 minutes on Sunday digging out a garden bed in our yard.
Yeah.
I mean, just
Yeah.
like hard, bent over, like digging that shovel into the ground, digging a few feet deep so we could put new dirt in and mulch and plants and all that stuff. So I was like, I don't, some of this stuff I think, oh, well, I'm not even really counting that, but that definitely counts.
And we all have these, adult responsibilities that we got to do,
Right.
like you said, a home ownership. And this is where I think that minimum daily workout is really effective because at the end of the day, you don't want to do 50 push-ups after
Right.
digging all that and you're exhausted from throwing kids around all afternoon. You don't want to do that minimum daily workout, but that's when you got to do it anyway and knock those even just 25 extra push-ups a day. That's when you got to do that, and it will pay dividends, even though you freaking don't want to do it.
Okay, well, so here's what I want to get into in the last few minutes because this is the question that's begging. So like you've shared your workout schedule, I've shared mine. I've said one of my concerns is, this feeling like physically like I am close to my limit at any given
Yeah,
time and maybe not even recovering from the schedule that I have. And like I want to have a bigger workout schedule, but like I know that, it's not just a matter of working harder. I could do that, but like I feel like it would be likely ended me hurting myself or feeling really
mm.
crappy or all this stuff. So how do you measure like whether or not basically you're working hard enough or too hard? Like what are the signs that you watch for on your end?
Uh, can, so one sign of overtraining, which I doubt you can do, uh, both of us, kids for sure, but I doubt you and I can overtrain. Is how quickly can we get to sleep? And is your sleep fractured in the middle of the night? So that
Yeah.
is one sign of overtraining. So if you're exhausted, but you can't get to sleep, you're probably overdoing it too much. But the other thing is, we've talked about this is getting this Aura ring to
Yep.
kind of let you know if you're overdoing it or not. And it measures heart rate during the night and heart rate variability and measures your sleep stages. And so I think this is a powerful tool to really let you know if you're overdoing it. Because there's been many days where I'm like, oh man, I'm overdoing it. This feels like too much. But the ring goes, yeah, you're okay, dude. Keep going.
Right.
So I think biometrics and the measurement of what's going on inside is going to be the way to let you know whether you're overdoing it or not.
Do
So
you
get
ever, I
that
mean,
ring.
so Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking
And I'm
about
not.
it with my birthday coming up, and we're not sponsored by Aura Ring
No,
either.
we're not. Nope, we're not.
But I've been that's one of the things you and I've been communicating about, and I do love. I mean, I've always had probably, I guess, for the last 10 years, I've had some kind of wearable on, so I'm definitely into the whole concept, and I know there's been a lot of improvements and a lot of, I think, to I guess disprovements of what these devices are actually doing um, on the other end. Uh, but you don't like. I guess my last question would be then. I know that I promised the last one was my last question, but like you don't ever just have a subjective like, hey, my little ring on my finger says I'm great, but like I'm calling it today. Like it's not.
Absolutely, I do. It's
But
probably a
what
couple times
factors do you use to decide that?
just how I feel. I'm like, I'm not
Yeah,
motivated today. I am able to just lay on the couch today. You know what? I'm going to take that opportunity to lay on
yeah,
the couch and just do nothing. And it's okay to, yeah, follow that instinct once in a while when you're just not feeling it. That's okay too.
yeah,
Because
yeah. Just
90% of the time we're going. So if 10% of the time you're like ignoring all the data that says you should keep going, but you internally are like, no, I'm going to rest, then I think we should trust that instinct.
yeah. Yeah, well, there's so many branches out from this. We got to cut it off at some point. We promised to keep these around a half an hour. We're at minute
30 minutes.
31. So, Trevor, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody for listening. If you want a custom fit pair of goggles, go to themagic5.com/swimbrief and hook yourself up. I got a pair and I love them. They are the go-to goggles when I swim, 2 or 3 times a week. And for other content, you can go to Chris D_coach on Instagram, CD Swim Coach on Facebook, YouTube channel. This one I think will be uploaded there as well. And yeah, thank everybody, and see you later this week. Hopefully, Joel will be back in his normal time slot and ready to explain his exciting absence and what's going on with him. So, thanks again, Trevor, and everybody else. See you later.
Thanks, Chris.